Hello everyone. This video is the introduction to a series of 6 videos dedicated to the beasts of the Book of Revelation and the mark of the beast. It will provide a possible explanation for why God decided on the apocalypse in his plan for humanity. It will also attempt to decipher which countries, wars, and political projects are associated with the events of the apocalypse. With the hypothesis defended and detailed in other videos, of a return of Jesus Christ in the period of 2032-2033, that is, 2,000 years after his advent on earth. So yes, it's certain there are as many interpretations of the book of Revelation as there are people to interpret it. It's certain that there are countless predictions that have proven to be completely false. But there are particular arguments for daring to attempt this difficult exercise today. In the videos about prophecies predicting a return of Jesus around the year 2030, and in the videos about the apocalypse calendar, I have shown the correspondences between the prophecies of the biblical text, recent political events, and rare astronomical signs recently observed. Let us first remember that the apocalypse is not merely a puzzle to solve, or a proclamation of punishment in devastating wars. The apocalypse is primarily the revelation of the truth of faith in Jesus Christ. It is also the moment of judgment, the moment when Jesus, according to his own words, will separate the sheep who will live with him from the goats sent away to the kingdom of darkness. The years of the apocalypse aim to prepare us spiritually for this revelation of Jesus Christ. This preparation is a trial where we will also reveal ourselves, where we will be driven to choose God, or conversely, the choice of the Antichrist and his mark, during violent and troubled times, a bit like during the Second World War, which was actually, and probably, a foreshadowing and a warning about the end times, when the choice was to be a resistor or a collaborator. In the Gospel of St. Luke, Simeon makes a prophecy to the Virgin Mary when she presents her baby Jesus at the temple to consecrate him to God. He tells her, "This child will cause the fall and rise of many in Israel. He will be a sign of contradiction, and your soul will be pierced by a sword. Thus, the thoughts of many hearts will be revealed." The return of Jesus Christ, the one who examines the hearts and minds of humans, will be a moment of truth for all of us. In that moment, we will make a choice that will be crucial for the salvation of our soul. The end of times is the culmination of God's plan for humanity. His ultimate goal is to unite humans with a soul freed from sin and purified to the perfect and holy God who created them. The apocalypse is not a series of cruel punishments inflicted by God, but the logical consequence of the free choices of men. When men turn away from God and his commandments, they surrender to the forces of evil. The more men are gentle and humble of heart, the more they will pray to God and the Holy Virgin to help them in the face of wars and other calamities, and the less severe their misfortunes will be. This is the rule of the game given by God repeatedly throughout the history of humanity, notably when God spread the prayer of the Rosary, or in the messages he conveyed through the Virgin Mary, and her apparitions in the 19th and 20th centuries, and also in the Apocalypse of St. John, when Jesus promises the beloved Christians of the Church of Philadelphia to protect them at the hour of the great temptation that will come to test the world. I specify at the outset that certain interpretative choices of the symbols of the apocalypse will not be justified in these videos. This concerns the symbols, whose interpretations are fairly consensual among eschatologists, that is, those who study the end times, and this is to avoid overly lengthy discourse. But an interpretation will be provided as close as possible to the biblical texts, in connection with the current political context. The spiritual meaning of the apocalypse will not be analyzed here, as that is not the focus. I also do not subscribe to interpretations that see only a spiritual and symbolic meaning in the book of the Apocalypse. The stance taken here is to believe that the events of the Apocalypse will truly occur, even if they are difficult to decipher. Among other reasons, because Jesus Christ himself in the Gospels described the end times period with concrete indications, notably in Matthew 24. As many think and say on social media, the current conflict in Israel may very well be the first sign of the end times, prophesied notably in the Old Testament. Make no mistake, moments of truce do not make for lasting peace. And the balance of forces in action has changed significantly since the attack on October 7th, 2023. Outside the Middle Eastern context, today, the threats to freedoms and peace in the world, a general atmosphere of decadence in Western countries, the risks of human genome manipulation, many things give the impression that Satan is leading the world towards its destruction. But it is especially the existence of surveillance technologies, control, and even the destruction of the human brain by artificial intelligence or by neuroweapons that make a direct intervention by God credible. Controlling the human brain would indeed mean being able to prevent him from choosing God, from having faith, and this would therefore destroy God's entire plan for humanity. Satan inspires the world's leaders, who do not hide their interest in these dangerous technologies. They can be deployed massively when they are perfectly developed. However, there already exist non-invasive brain surveillance technologies. Since they do not require surgical interventions like brain implants, they can potentially be imposed quite rapidly on entire populations. They would then be the mark of the beast, imposed on every man on the hand or on the forehead. As described in the book of Revelation, technologies capable of connecting the human brain to smartphones or computers, which can themselves be controlled by powerful artificial intelligences, make a dystopian science fiction scenario possible. One could then understand why God would wipe the slate clean of a world where man has become capable of self-destruction, just as he wiped the slate clean of the world at the time of the flood and Noah. How will this happen? The return of Jesus will first take the form of a divine intervention during wars threatening the survival of humanity. This intervention will be followed by the worldwide recognition of Christianity, and a period of peace that will last 1,000 years, which is therefore called the millennium. The millennium does not translate into the visible presence of Christ among men, but by the reign of the religion he established, and the advent of good leaders worldwide. At that time, those who died in Christ will be resurrected, meaning they will once again be body, soul, and spirit in the kingdom of heaven. Then, after 1,000 years, new wars will break out, and Jesus' intervention will conclude with the resurrection of all the dead after the final judgment. The final judgment does not challenge the particular judgment that already determines the fate of each human being after their death. After death, the soul goes either to hell, directly to heaven, or to heaven after a period of purification in purgatory. But at the final judgment, the transitional state of purgatory will end, and people will be either in heaven or in hell. Theological doctrine also considers that the final judgment is a public judgment of thoughts and actions that reveal to others things that remained hidden from them during their earthly life. After the final judgment, the righteous, resurrected in body, soul, and spirit, will join Jesus in a new earth and a new heaven, as stated in the book of Revelation. That is, in the kingdom of heaven. Before that, the forces of evil must be overcome on earth. We will see who these forces of evil refer to in the book of Revelation, in the second video of this series. Thank you for listening to me. Feel free to like, share this information, and why not join us in the non-virtual world? Have a good day, and may God bless you.